For years, much of the world has watched Donald Trump's Iran policy like a live wire drama, waiting for that one decision that could ignite a full-scale war. Trump tore up the Iran nuclear deal, called Tehran the world's leading sponsor of terrorism, and recently he repeatedly warned that the United States would respond to Iranian provocation with absolute and total destruction. On the surface, Trump projects the image of a leader unafraid of confrontation, ready to ripe up old rules and punish America's enemies. But behind the threat lies a far more cautious calculation, one shaped by the scars of past wars, the reality of Iran's regional reach, and most importantly, the fragility of global markets and the mood of US public tired of sending troops to die in Middle Eastern deserts. So today in this edition of From the News Desk, we will answer a deceptively simple question. Why hasn't Donald Trump attacked Iran yet? Well, despite Trump's hardline stance and steps like withdrawal from the 2015 nuclear deal and the maximum pressure campaign, a direct war with Iran would be extremely costly. To put it simply, Iran is not Iraq in 2003. It is larger, more populous, and has real regional reach. It commands a network of allies and proxies like Hezbollah in Lebanon, militia in Iraq and Syria, the Houthis in Yemen that can respond across the Middle East if Iran is attacked. And any US strikes on Iranian soil risks setting off a chain reaction. Missile attacks on Gulf oil facilities, rocket fires on US bases, Hezbollah's escalation against Israel, and harassment of shipments in the Strait of Hormuz. In fact, US military planners know such a conflict would not be quick or clean. It could become a long and uncertain war that reshapes the region and drags in multiple actors. The United States has enormous conventional power, but deterrence between Washington and Tehran has become mutual. In fact, Iran has invested heavily in asymmetrical tools designed to raise the price of any attacks, like ballistic missiles, drones, cyber operations, and proxy militia. Well, crisis under Trump, from latest Khamenei's crackdown on protesters to the exchange of missiles after killing of General Qasem Soleimani in 2020, showed both sides testing limits but stopping just short of a full-scale war. Tehran signaled it would respond, but tried to avoid crossing a red line that would trigger massive US retaliation. And Trump, for his part, reportedly cancelled a retaliatory strikes in 2019 minutes before launch, indicating his awareness of likely casualty and, most importantly, the political fallout. Both capitals have walked up to the edge and stepped back. Now, inside the United States, Trump has built a political brand that mixes tough talk with the promise to avoid new endless wars in the Middle East. Many of his supporters are deeply skeptical of another major intervention after Iraq and Afghanistan, which cost trillions of US dollars and thousands of American lives. Now, a large-scale war against Iran would risk alienating that anti-war part of his base and give critics a powerful argument that Trump is repeating the very mistake he condemned. Now, here's another interesting factor, which is economics. Any serious conflict with Iran would likely shake global oil markets, especially if Tehran tried to close or disrupt the Strait of Hormuz. A surge in oil prices would hit US consumers through higher fuel and transportation costs and could rattle the financial markets. Because Trump closely links his political success to stock markets' performance and economic growth, such risks are politically dangerous. Now, instead of open war or a full-scale war, the Trump administration has relied on sanctions, diplomatic pressure, and covert operations to weaken Iran and Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. The maximum pressure strategy aims to damage Iran's economy, strain its regional allies, and slow its nuclear program without taking on the risk of invasion. For Trump, keeping the military options on the table but unused can be more useful than sending that card in a single risky strike. Now, alliance politics also matters. Key US partners in Europe and especially the Gulf fear the fallout of US-Iran war and have often worked to calm tensions between the two states. And without broad support, any attack on Iran would be seen globally as a war of choice, not self-defense, further isolating Washington. Put together, these factors show that Trump's decision not to attack Iran so far is less about hesitation and more about calculation. The potential cost in lives, money, regional stability, and domestic politics still outweigh the likely gains. Threatening Iran and squeezing it economically while stopping short of a full-scale war currently serves his purpose better than actually ordering a full-scale attack.